Don't wait till the night before Christmas to be good.
And in 3, 2, 1, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 12 podcast of Christmas number 8, episode 10. Just ask this question. This always happens to be fucking brain farts. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Francois Donation.
I'm Andrew Sorsdahl.
And I'm your guest, Ben Sinclair.
Yes, this is Benjamin Sinclair.
And I'm
very
producer
special
Jamie
guest.
Vernon.
Great
Thanks
fan.
for cutting me off, Fran.
Oh, sorry, Bradford.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we got a producer, Mike. I forgot about that. What's your name?
Jamie Vernon from the Joe Rogan.
That's the guy who he does the...
Yeah, I saw him looking it up before
He
we
does the
started.
fucking... I saw him looking it up. Young Jamie, right. Anyway, so this is Benjamin Sinclair, great friend of mine, great friend of the podcast. Manager of people who repair pools, isn't that correct, Benjamin? App description?
Yeah, that is putting it very bluntly, but yeah.
You manage.
I do manage,
And
and
it's
there are pools
and
involved.
it's people.
Yeah.
And one of the things they do is repair pools.
Yes.
There you go, folks. We've gotten to the bottom of things. Actually, no, let's maybe go into a little bit more depth than that. What is your current career trajectory? What are you doing? Where are you? Give us a backstory, Benjamin. Nobody knows who you are.
I am Ben. I grew up in Leader, Saskatchewan. I did power engineering for school, and I am now a building operator for the city of Saskatoon. I work in a couple different pools, and literally indoor pools. And yeah, I'm pretty much just a supervisor of the people who work there. So yeah.
Still doing the stand-up thing on moonlighting at all?
I haven't done stand-up since COVID.
Yeah, I guess there hasn't been much of it around.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I've gotten more into writing lately, so maybe shifting focuses for the better.
So I'm a little bit. So I love a good origin story, even though this isn't really an origin story. But I like to see how people are involved with like us on the podcast and how they know us or whatever. So I'd like to ask you, because I think out of the three of us, I'd be willing to venture a guess that you and I were friends earliest, correct?
Well, I
You
don't
probably
know.
knew Brad maybe before me, eh?
Brad and I were camp friends.
Right.
Shagaback days.
Itchy bitchy witchy, nitchy kitchy litchy. We are the kids of Shagowek. Boochie Pikachu, Chiku Chinichu. I know it. Can you still sing that song?
I don't remember ever that one.
Brad can sing the song. Brad, can you sing the song quick, please? The real one?
First of all, I think you're confusing Hazlet and
Does Shagaback have a song too?
Well, Shagaback has many camp songs.
Well, isn't there one, like, main one? Because I've heard your sister sing it before.
Well, my sister sings lots of things.
Well, sing the Hazlet song then, because you know that one.
Oh, God. Hoikey choikey, hoikey choikey, hellamachellama chess, rickety rackety, rickety rockety, HHS, chahi, chaha, chaha, ha, ha, Hazlet High School, rah, rah, rah. I actually learned that from my dad, and my dad hates everything and dropped out of school in grade 11. But he remembers a song from like the 1960s, which is pretty impressive.
So yeah, I had it like fucking dead on there.
What's a hellamachelma chess? Why that?
I don't fucking know. They came up with it in the 40s.
Well, know things about your beloved songs.
So, okay. So you knew Brad first from camp. That's
Yeah.
Camp Shagaback.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know. I've heard universal acclaim directed towards Shagaback. I think we can recommend it. Not 100% certain. But you like Shagaback, right, Ben?
I had a lot of fun at Shagback.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Shady things go on at camp sometimes, so I don't know. I don't always know.
Well, no, there was
Not to
plenty
ignore
of
something.
shadiness going on, but
Oh, do tell.
No.
no. What happens at Shagback stays at Shagback.
Wherever your mind is going, that's what happened. And there are legal cases currently going on. Okay, so can you tell me? So we got Brad. Move on to me, the good one, and tell me when do you remember us meeting and starting to hang out? Because I was racking my brain yesterday, and I was struggling to like. I can remember specific memories, but I feel like it's always like we were already established as friends. Those are all my memories. Like I can't remember the genesis or how we started hanging out because like I still to this day I'm like, why did we ever start hanging out? Like I don't hang out with like Ben's from Leader, Saskatchewan originally, and I'm largely kind of like especially in high school I was like an enclosed. I hung out with Cambridge people mostly. Not that I was against hanging out with other people, but I wasn't like the most avid partier. Like Phil was more outgoing, Schmeese was more outgoing, Swade's more outgoing. So they always hung out with guys from different towns, and I usually met people through osmosis through those guys. So I hung out with like Abbey people and like close people that were close to us. But yes, when do you remember us first interacting?
I remember a very skinny, curly-haired African Fran at Leader Track and Field. That would have been, you were maybe in grade 8.
Hell of an athlete.
Hell of an athlete. That was the first time I met you. And then the first time I remember like really hitting it off with you was a party here. And you showed up shit-faced with a case of black ice. And we talked about how we were going to rob a 7-Eleven together. And yeah.
I really wish I could remember that because that sounds fucking incredible. I want you to expound upon that. But first, before we forget, you brought a little treat for us on the podcast today. Can you tell us what you brought, why you brought it, and yeah,
sure.
About that.
This is Weller's Bourbon. It's made from Buffalo Trace Distillers, which is a pretty well-known bourbon. Yeah, I did a bourbon tasting at my place about a month ago, and this was a new one that I tried, and I kind of fell in love with it. So this is my 3rd bottle of it.
That's smooth as.
I'm a big Buffalo Trace fan in general.
Ice.
Not
No, that's
typically,
not ice. Is pretty
not
rough.
typically a bourbon guy, but
Smooth as Brad's back.
after Maddie sugared it.
Back. Shout out. Call back to episode 8. And what the fuck's her name? Whatever her
that's
name is.
great.
Oh yeah.
She was wearing an elf suit. I can't. Whatever. But anyway, shout out to an earlier episode of the podcast. You'll have to go back and watch that one, or else this podcast won't make any sense. So you got to just kind of watch.
Yeah,
them
that was
all
so
in
long
sequence.
ago we filmed that.
Yeah,
one.
it's a thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a watching order posted for these podcasts?
Yeah.
order.
They're
Yeah,
episodes. Yeah.
So it's not like you jump from 1 to 4 and then.
I mean, most people just fucking watch whatever they want. Usually, like what happens usually is lots of people like episode 1, and then there's a steady decline, and then it's like then we got the real hard. Like number 2 usually gets a couple too, and then we got the real hardcore fans we know from like episode 3 on, like those ones, and then episode 12 in years past has been there have been very insane ones. So then we'll usually see an uptick in number 12 again. Just I think people are curious to see if we
survived
or say things that are not great.
Yeah.
But yes, have you ever watched the podcast in the past, Benjamin? Choose your next words carefully.
I watched episode 1 of this year yesterday.
That's
see
that's an easy one.
what I was getting myself into.
That's
And
easy.
a lot of James Bond talk. I didn't bring any material about James Bond, unfortunately, but I think you guys covered everything.
That's all right. We did that very specifically, actually. On the very first podcast we ever did in the ancient year of 2014, year of our Lord. The thing we talked about the most on that podcast was James Bond, and it was right when they announced Spectre. So we were just talking about all the Bond, and we all enjoyed Bond. Like it was something that we all have, I don't know, some sort of knowledge about. So I don't know. That was back though when it was like
We lived in
like-
a 2-bedroom apartment before
Yeah.
Brad and Kelsey, Fran and I. My room was the bedroom, my bedroom / office. So I just had a futon and then like a desk in the corner, a couple desks in the corner, all our computers and shit. And then Fran slept in the living room on the pull-out couch. So we didn't actually have a bedroom. And we had one bathroom to share, and probably about the size of this basement right now, ish.
It's funny. I just thought of this. There's 2 phases in my life where I lived in not technically a room. Like when I was in, I think it was grade before my older sister graduated. So she like probably when she was in grade 10, 11, 12. And so I would have been in grade whatever, 7, 8, 9. we all three of us, my two sisters and I, were in the basement. That's where our rooms were. Well, they had rooms. They had doors. I didn't have a door. I just had like a space. It was just kind of like next to a bathroom was just sort of an open space, and I just kind of made that my spot. But I had no door, no privacy, nothing. And then once again, when I first moved back to Saskatoon, once again, I lived first couple months I was here, lived on a pull-out couch, no nothing, just
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to go to the bathroom, it was like, hey, it's like light would turn on in the middle of the night. Hey, how you doing? Just over here sleeping, trying to on that fucking terrible pull-out couch bed. Please tell me more about robbing 7-Eleven. Also, before you continue, that picture of you and I that I love so much, that it's like you're sleeping, we're obviously fucking hammered, blackout, and you're like, you've got your little hands like this.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're hugging onto a pillow, I think, and like really caressing it. And then I think I'm on your thigh, and we're on a couch, and I'm just like this. Is that from that night, or is that later on? You remember?
Probably later on, but same house.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where were we?
That was like where Amy and Mackenzie lived.
Like, oh, okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, no, I remember that. So how are we going to rob a 7-Eleven?
I think we were just going to go like classic ski masks and fake guns.
Fake guns? We didn't want to kill anybody?
Well, I don't know. It was pretty late,
I
so I
was
don't know
drunk
where
on
we would
black
have
ice.
got. Yeah.
I'd
Just-
kill anybody. I'd kill you right now. Drop a hat. I don't care. Anybody got $20?
I'm an 80s guy.
80s guy.
But no, the planning didn't get very far. I think we switched gears pretty quick onto. I don't know. You weren't very.
Like in a state.
Yeah.
robbing
You
a
weren't prepared
7-Eleven.
to do a top-notch heist.
I mean, I am famous in certain communities for my thievery skills. Apparently, there are some towns that I'm infamous in
For what?
for my thieving. Thieving.
What sort of thieving?
I think more
Hearts.
so breaking and entering, less
The
thieving.
wow, they don't know. I may have thieves. I may have taken things. But yes, I'm a menace to society. Is all I'm trying to say. And did I do it? I don't know.
Were you punished for it? Who
Did
knows?
I do 6 months of community service in Swift Current for it? I don't know.
Not saying no. You're
kinda
not
sounds
saying
like you
yes.
did.
I will not neither confirm nor deny. Allegedly. I did some fucking shit. And I paid my price to society for it, allegedly. Stop asking me questions about it. Stop it.
Well, Swift Current can use all the help they can get, right?
Don't I know it? Allegedly. All right. So continue with the timeline here. So fuck, I kind of thought we were hanging out in high school already, but that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't think we hung out in high school too much. I started hanging out with like Shmeese, mostly Shmeese, and then he kind of introduced me to the other Cabrioites.
Yeah.
And then because he played ball with us,
Right.
and I will never forget the first time I met Shmeese because we were out of the Ball Diamonds sitting in the dugout, and he comes into the dugout and he starts talking to Chris Stimson, and he's just being a jerk to Chris. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And why is he being so mean to Chris?
That's my friend Brendan Schmies.
And yeah, and I soon grew to know and love him. So
This is very akin to Brad gets a lot of the same comments that Schmies does upon an initial meeting. Like a lot of people, when they first meet Brad or Schmies, they're like, "Who are these abrasive fucking assholes? Like I hate you. Like why? Like they're the worst." And I'm like, "Give it 4 months, baby, and they'll be your favorite person on the face of this planet. Give it 4 months, and then fucking every single fucking person. I'm trying to think. There might be. Is there anybody who still dislikes Brad? I'm trying to think. There must be at least one. But like, for the most part, most of these people like fuck. Oh, right, Evan. Evan fucking hates Brad. I totally forgot. My brother. I'm the oldest. The fortune will be mine. Okay, so started hanging out in high school. No, we didn't start hanging out in high school. I got that very wrong. So in Saskatoon, were you doing power engineering right out the gate?
Nope.
Or what did you want to do when you fucking were in grade 12? What was your like dream?
I had no fucking clue, but I thought, oh, I got to go to university and I'll figure it out while I'm there.
Mhm.
So I did a year of arts and science, and then I was like, oh, I kind of like biology, so I'm going to go into ag.
Mhm.
And then I realized I'm not a farmer in the slightest. So that was
How hard can it
short-lived.
fucking be?
Well, if you don't go to class ever and do any assignments, it's tough to pass.
You know who didn't have the U of S? Early settlers.
They just figured it
They
out.
fucking took shit out of trees and they put it in the ground and they figured it out. And that's what you'll do.
I mean, a lot of them died, and a lot of their children died.
We learn through death. I'll kill 1,000 children if I have to learn how to
kid-
farm.
I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die.
1,000 children before this company dies. Okay, so you had no inkling of what you wanted to do in high school?
No.
Like you never, like as a child, what did you want? A police officer, nothing like that shit.
So in kindergarten, they ask you what you want to be when you grow up.
Yeah.
And I said an archaeologist.
That's cool as shit.
Yeah.
I want to be a
Paleontologist.
paleontologist,
Yeah.
which is
And
cool.
then I did take I took archaeology and anthropology in U of S.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a double major in arc and anth. And I told my dad that, and he's like, yeah, but how are you going to make money?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's a good point.
You desperate from what I've heard
Hey,
and what I've read.
you could teach other people
Yeah.
archaeology
I think
and
that's the
anthropology.
only way.
Yeah. It's like you become a teacher,
You can do so much school that you then teach other people.
Yeah.
make it like a comfortable living, or you fight tooth and nail and bleed for grants that you don't get. And your daughter one day asks you, why am I not like the other kids? And why do I have to wear things that we buy at stores that none of the other kids go to? And you say, just next grant, honey, I'm going to make it big. I'm going to find that fucking pot. And you and I, we're going to hit it big. And then you die and your daughter dies early because she didn't have any money to buy food and shit. And that's
This is a
archaeology.
very specific scenario.
That's archaeology, baby.
But yeah, it's kind of weird that that's what I wanted to be as a kid, because my great grandpa is kind of a big deal in the archaeology world.
Do I know this? Have you told me this?
I don't think so. I don't think
Have you heard about this? Do you know this? Who's your grandfather?
What's his first name? I can't think of his first name. Vickers. Vickers is the last name. And he was did a lot for Manitoba archaeology.
Uh-huh.
And he's pretty well renowned in that area.
That's fucking sweet. So this is on your mother's side.
Yeah.
I didn't know your mother's last name was Vickers. That's
Yeah.
cool.
There you go.
So one thing you were into for a while, and you guys kind of briefly mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast, was, and Andrew's a big fan of this, but you tried to get into stand-up comedy before the C19 fucking pandemic. And how did you find that? Why were you interested in it in the first place? Tell me about that journey in stand-up comedy, because it's like you said, you and I recently talked, and you said you were kind of putting the brakes on that a bit.
Yeah, so I've always been a really big fan of stand-up. Started when I was probably 13 or 14 and watching Dave Chappelle and Dane Cook, and I've since steered away from Dane Cook so much and started watching real comedians.
Dane Cook's getting a lot of
Hey, he revolutionized it at the time.
He did, yeah. But yeah, so I was a big fan growing up, and then when I was living in Regina, my girlfriend kind of put the bug in my ear to start writing stuff down. So I just started writing funny thoughts down, and then I eventually worked up the courage to go tell some jokes in front of some people and got a few laughs. So then I kept doing it, and yeah, I was doing stand-up. It wasn't a lot, 2 times a month. There wasn't a whole lot of places to do it in Regina. But yeah, and I was kind of getting going all right.
Mm-hmm.
And then COVID hit. And then I honestly just stopped writing altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Because you write about stuff that happens in your life.
Right.
And there was fucking nothing going on. So yeah, I stopped writing there, and then I kind of after a few months, I was like, well, I mean, I miss getting those laughs, but I don't miss it that much.
Mhm.
I also, while I was in Regina, like the year before COVID, I got into improv, and that was a lot of fun.
So were you just going to like an improv night with like a bunch of randoms?
No, I like joined a troupe.
Oh.
Yeah, we were like, what was their name?
Did you audition or was it?
So they like did an open audition, and then they're like, "Hey, well, you've never done it before, but you have potential. You'll be in the beginner crew."
Oh yeah.
And
Cool.
so we had a guy in our group named Kirk, and then he quit, or he had to quit like halfway through because he was a school teacher who started coaching basketball.
Uh-huh.
So then we named our troop Captain Kirkless. And we performed like once a month for like 4 or 5 months, and then COVID hit. So and so we were doing improv shows like once a month. And if anyone out there is listening, please send help. But yeah, and then COVID hit, so that got shut down. And since then, I reached out to improv groups here, and there's only one. And they weren't looking for new people, so that also came to an end.
So with improv versus stand-up comedy, what did you like it more being around people and like having that bit of like prompting, so it's like you could
Kind of bounce off
yeah,
ideas
'cause,
off
like,
those people on stage. And
I was lucky enough. I'm glad I got to see that do stand-up that one time, because fuck would I have been miserable if I hadn't seen you do it at least once. So that was really fun. But it's like, if you'll see a stand-up comedy show, are there any 2-part stand-up comedy acts?
How do you mean?
Why isn't that like two guys up on stage
Yeah.
together?
There's like twins that are in 22 Jump Street.
yeah,
Oh, okay, yeah.
They do a whole stand-up special together.
Oh,
David
cool.
Tell and whatever do the bumping
Man, I
mics
wonder-
or whatever.
Yep.
I wonder why that's not more common. That's really
Jeffrey Ross is he?
Jeffrey Ross, yeah.
That's really interesting. Actually, now that I think about it, it's like like
Roast battles are really popular.
99%. Yeah, right. Roast battles, but it's like just like a straight up comedy, like a comedy duel, like a Penn and Teller type, but like
Yeah.
for comedy. Like you don't see that a lot.
Because I think when you go from the solo to the duo thing, you kind of have to do more of like it has to be a lot more rehearsed, a lot more like my line, your line kind of thing. Whereas with stand up, it be just because the art form, even though everything's prepared, it has the feeling of being like a guy just top of mind spouting off thoughts.
Yeah,
I
it
think.
sounds like the better you are at stand-up, the more natural your talking is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Where people don't, you trick people into thinking it's not rehearsed.
Yeah.
By how natural you
Yeah.
sound.
I
Oh
guess
yeah, that's the best. You want everybody in the audience to feel like you want it. If a guy goes to a second show, like optimally, let's say you do a show to somebody who's never seen stand-up comedy before, and it's like they don't have anything about the art form, like WWE type deal. Somebody who doesn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
They go, and what you want them to do is be like, holy fuck, this guy is funny. I'm gonna go tomorrow night. I'm gonna get tickets to the next show. And then he goes tomorrow night and he's like, this is the same fucking shit. What the hell? I thought that stuff was all fucking like off the cuff.
Right.
Like that's what you want, is like somebody to
Yeah.
get mad if they go to a second show.
Yeah. One time only.
One time only, it's like, do not come again. And that's like, it's like the class, like, and then you get into the people who are like, do the whatever joke. It's like, people are begging for new material and you just ask me, you know the fucking joke. It's like, what am I, my inflection going to be slightly different? Like, I don't know. Fuck
But then you have a guy like I'm a fan of Burt Kreischer's, and like
Oh yeah.
his whole career was essentially built off the machine. And so he has to do that story. They're making a fucking movie out of it now.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They have made, actually, it's my hat, is their podcast, Two Bears, One Cave.
Ah.
Tom Segura and Bert. Yeah. But it's funny you say that, because like right around the COVID, I was like finally gonna be like, yeah, I'm finally gonna get on stage and do some stand up, get up there and do my thing. And then COVID hit, like literally the week before I was gonna get up on stage for the first time. So that kind of sucked for sure.
Well, yeah, and like that can be a huge setback.
Yeah.
But if you, I'll come out of retirement if you want to go out for a night.
I'd I'd be super down, man. It's something I've always wanted to try at least once, but yeah, like I said, never got around to actually putting the effort in until right before COVID.
Right. And honestly, you have no idea what it's like until you actually do it.
100%.
Like it looks a lot easier from the outside than when you're standing in front of a group of people and they expect you to make them laugh.
Yeah. I have a bit of public speaking experience, so not like that side of it doesn't scare me, but for sure the laughing thing and like the prospect of being funny and then just crickets or like saying something you think
Ben,
is
maybe
funny
tell
and
us a little bit
crickets.
about the first time you got up on stage and kind of what that was like lights are on and it's go time now.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking, man. You get up there, you have this set that you've built and you think that this is the funniest thing that anyone has ever heard and is ever going to hear. And then you start and if that first hit doesn't get a laugh, then
It's so
sinking.
Terrified.
Yeah. And it's like I've cut sets short because nothing was hitting. And then nothing hits, and then you just all of a sudden forget everything.
Yeah, right.
And it's like you're just like struggling to find a single word, and then it's
like
good night.
if I think about how you structure most things like novels, movies, anything, it's like you want to begin and end strong. Like you want to get everybody on your side as fast as possible, and then you want everybody to have a great ending. You want people to be like a memorable ending. So it's like it's not like you're going to start with your worst material. Like you're probably going to start with something that's fairly strong so you can get everybody on your side, and then it's like maybe throw some of those jokes you're not as sure about more in the center so that you can whatever. So if that first joke doesn't land, you're like, ooh, that's like a pretty good joke. Like fuck.
Yeah.
And then trying to like think, it's like that immediately strongest joke now, good. Like yeah.
So the best, I think, for me, the best set that I ever had. So the open mics that I would do were monthly, first Saturday of every month at Shannon's pub in Regina. So this is maybe like my third or fourth time doing it. And that night there was an actual comedy show at the Ramada, and the comedians came to the open mic. And no, I have this fucked up. That didn't happen. But one guy came.
He's a liar.
He was in the city for training, and he was like a professional stand-up comedian for years. He I talked to him afterwards, and he like opened for Russell Peters for years. So he like puts his name in the box, and he does a fucking 45-minute set. And mine, like, they pull like 2 names at a time. So the guy organizing it, he's like, hey, you're going up after this guy. Like, as soon as he goes up, he's like, hey, you're after him. So I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there waiting to go up. And this guy is on there for 45 fucking minutes.
They hit him with the light or anything?
No. They're like, well, like he was the room was on fire.
Right.
Because he was very good. And so I got up there and I just like threw my material out the window, and I just started like laying into him about like, what the fuck was that? Like, I was like, I've been waiting for 45 goddamn minutes, like, and people like loved me, and I was like so relaxed because I was so like angry.
Right, yeah.
and yeah, it was like it was supernatural, and I still did
supernatural
all my material, but it came off so like relaxed, and that was like to this day probably still the best set I ever had.
Chasing that high ever since kind of thing.
Yeah. That was it, right? Those laughs are addictive.
So between improv, I mean they're different very different art forms. I mean, to a degree there's a you need to be able to utilize some improv skills in stand-up comedy just to be able to like read a room. Yeah. That kind of shit. So it's like that's very improvisational. Improvisational? Something like that.
Is that videoly or audioly?
Audio visually?
Some people
Anemone.
say. Audioli?
Audioli. So out of the two, which did you... I guess there's probably like good aspects about each one. which did you prefer? What did you pros and cons of stand up and improv?
So I think overall I preferred improv because you don't have the stress of, is this material good? It's like you have to be funny on the spot with something fresh and new to the crowd and to you. But improv is also frustrating because you are relying on a whole group of people to get the thought that you're thinking. So if you like create this character, create this scene, and they misinterpret it, then it just goes in a totally different direction than what you intended. So I really liked improv, and I got a lot of laughs in improv, and I was maybe a little too like, I have this idea, I'm gonna go with it. Like, but most of the people in my group were kind of like timid when it came to that.
Right.
So it's like, hey, well, if nobody's fucking saying anything, I'm going this direction.
Well, I've heard like a lot of people, I know like in Vancouver with the acting class, they told the actors, and I think they even told us a couple times, it's like, oh, if you should join an improv class because it's like, it'll get you out of your shell. It'll help you to figure out how to do that. So I think there are a decent amount of people who will join improv class because they have social anxiety and that type of thing. And it forces them to like, it's like a safe setting to be social and to like, just say whatever the fuck you want. It's like, it's not going to harm anybody.
Everyone's there to do the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, I can see how like, yeah, maybe there are some people there that are fucking, they're there to combat social anxiety or something, or like they're there to have fun or whatever, but it's like that could also be part of the goal.
And that's like, it definitely does that. It gets people out of their comfort zone. And yeah, lots of the people who were in my group in particular, where you could tell that they're definitely shy people, like naturally, but then they start performing improv and they like, you can see them kind of like tapping away at their shell, like poking their head out. They're trying to be outgoing, and it's really cool.
I don't think I'd be able to resist doing the I can't remember what that actor's name is, but it's one of the little boys in Role Models, and he does this thing in that movie that's fucking hilarious, where it's like Sean William Scott will be doing whatever, and he'll be like, what? I don't want to take my pants off, like just like fucking throw it in there. It's like, what? You want to touch my dick? It's like so good. It's like I couldn't resist an improv class to be like, why are you taking your fucking pants off? Why are you jerking off in front of me? What the fuck? It's just like, and then the guy's like, okay.
What is it in The Office? He always has a gun.
Yeah, it's always a gun. He said he has a gun.
He said he has a gun.
It's always. But yeah, so next thing I want to get to is you brought this really excellent whiskey. I'm fucking really enjoying this, by the way. This is smooth as fuck.
Yeah.
This is crazy. So where does this whiskey originate? I wanted to ask that before I forget. Kentucky.
Right. All bourbon is brewed in Kentucky.
I fucking told you said bourbon?
Yeah, that's okay.
This way.
Buffalo Trace, you said?
Yeah.
That's awesome, because I was just having a conversation with somebody the other day who's also starting to get into whiskey, and him and I were talking more about like Scotch and Irish whiskey, because it's like I've been enjoying Scotch and Irish whiskey, and had some Johnny Walker the other day, was enjoying that, but I haven't found a bourbon that, because it's like if you think about bourbon, you think about like the really fucking greasy like high school like all those drinks, and it's like. So when I think about it, I'm like, I haven't had a bourbon that I love, but I mean this, I'll say genuinely, this is a fucking bourbon that I think is excellent. Like it's like, I really enjoy it. But along with the whiskey, like how did you, like you're a little more involved than just bringing a whiskey bottle to the podcast. Like you started taking the whiskey thing a little more seriously. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, I started drinking, I've been drinking bourbon for like 6 years. My one brother-in-law, he was like got me into it, made me like my first old fashioned. I was like, shit, this stuff is the tits. So yeah, so I've been drinking bourbon for a while, and just in the last, pretty much COVID has got me going.
I think a lot of people got into different alcohols.
Yeah.
During COVID.
So
yeah.
at the beginning of COVID, they said that all the liquor stores were gonna close.
Yeah.
So I went and spent like $600 on booze, and half of that was bourbon. So I like tried a bunch of different ones, and then since then I've been getting more into like at the bourbon thing I made like 8 different cocktails.
Mhm.
Half of them I'd never made before, and there's like so much that you can do with bourbon.
Yeah.
But now like just in the last couple months I've started drinking it straight, and I feel like a man now.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like because I have another friend who's really into hard alcohols. You should Thomas would love to talk about this shit too, because he started getting into weird. He started getting into weird old man alcohols, like just out of the blue,
Yeah,
and he started buying like port and
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say,
like weird shit.
He came over to play a board game. He was like, "Do you want to play this board game and drink port?"
Yeah,
And like, sure, like,
but anyways, the port he brought, it's tough. Like it fucking burns, and it's like it's not an easy drinking thing. But what I like about some of the whiskeys I've had over the last, like some of the Irish whiskeys and the Scotch and now this, is that it's like this has a similar effect. But like I can actually drink this. It doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah.
This doesn't have the same sting, like pungent odor of port and some of those other fucking highbrow.
especially when some like people who love like a really like a peaty Scotch that's like tastes like you're drinking a fucking ashtray.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god. Thank you.
We've told you about teachers, right? So when Amy and I we went on vacation to Ireland, and on our way back we were like, oh, it'd be cute if we got an Irish whiskey bottle and brought it back. Just fucked up. We fucked up all around, just all the way around. We fucked it up. This is a square. Fucked it up, and so we were in the airport. We're like last chance or whatever, and we see a teacher's bottle, and it's like, oh, cute. Amy's a teacher. Teacher's very loose connection. We'll get that. That's cute. So we get this bottle, we buy it, and then on the way back, I'm terrified of what the regulation is on like duties and import and like all that stuff. And I'm like, is there anything specific I need to do? And I remember being in St. John's and being like, oh, they're checking for the stuff in St. John's. Like, do I need to declare this or like what? And it was like they were saying things that sounded very scary because I don't know why, but it was like they just had a lot of stuff about, it's like, if you don't fucking declare something, it's like you're gonna get fined this fucking much money. And like first, I guess like I was just attuned to that type of talk because I was wondering about it. So yeah, well, whatever. But like so I'm listening, I'm hearing all this thing like, oh fuck, I don't want to get fucked with this stuff. And anyways, I remember like flagging someone down, and like she's like, oh, I'll call somebody, and she got somebody from the other side of the airport to come talk to me, and she comes over, looks at it for 1 second, and she's like, you're fucking fine, get in the lineup. Like, my God, I just came from across the airport with a stupid bottle. Like, Christ, like, fucking use the internet. And it's like, okay.
We have free Wi-Fi here.
It's like, it's not my fault, it's the fucking chick who called you's fault. And anyway, so we bring it back, and we're excited to crack it open, and then look at the bottle. It's fucking Scottish whiskey. It's not even fucking Irish. Like I said,
It's like
fucked up
shit.
Yeah.
all the way around. And it's the worst thing I've ever drank.
It literally
Do you
tastes
still
like
have some?
No, I don't think so. I think one day yeah, that's the thing. We had it for like 3 years, and we would just give it. We'd be like, "Hey, do you want to taste the worst thing ever?" And then give them a shot of teachers. And then I don't think anyone disagreed.
Without exaggeration, it tastes as if someone took the contents of an ashtray and put it in a cheesecloth, and then poured whiskey through the cheesecloth.
Okay.
And filtered it and bottled it, and that was teachers.
And then took the ashes and just
Sprinkle them.
yeah,
up
it's like.
Let them just sit there,
rim a glass in the ashtray.
yeah.
So bad.
Just thinking about it makes me feel a little bit sick, honestly.
Yeah.
Like,
and anyway, so that like, so don't get teachers, or if you want to get teachers, get a very small like taster just to experience
A travel size.
Yeah, experience the awfulness.
yeah, it's really not good.
But it's like with whiskey and like drinkable whiskeys, like we were talking about. I think like ports and some of these like more intense drinks, you're supposed to like level up, right? It's like you start with beer, And then it's like from beer, you go on to here, you go on to here, you go on to here. And it's like you try the next thing and you get into it, you grow a taste. It's like when you start drinking beer.
Acquired taste, yeah.
It's the worst thing ever. It does taste good. You're in high school. You're like, I just want to get drunk and party. It's like, it's not sweet. It's not like you're a kid and you're raised on Coke and Sprite and like all these fucking fruity, nice drinks. And so when you start drinking beer, you're like, why would anyone drink this? And then you grow a taste for it. You start trying other beers and then so you get into it and you're like, now I quite like beer. It's going to be whenever I go out for supper, it's like, that's the drink I get.
Yeah.
To pair with the fucking meal or whatever. And I think whiskeys are similar. It's like start with like drinkable whiskeys, and then it's like maybe try some of the more outrageous stuff, and then it's like then get into your fucking ports. And I'm trying to think of what is another crazy like port? What's another really weird highbrow
brandy?
One?
Well,
brandy. There you go. That's what I was thinking.
I also think like a lot of people get a distaste because they have a really bitter red wine to start, and they don't start with something that's a little bit more familiar with their taste. So by the time they have their first red wine, they're like, I hate this stuff. It's super tart and bitter. And you can, start sweeter and develop your palate from there.
Yeah, it's like if you were to start with a Moscato and introduce wine that way, somebody's going to be like, oh, wine's the best fucking thing ever. I love wine. Then they'll get Moscatos. Then you get something a little more dry, a little more mid-tier in terms of the sweetness. White wine. Or fucking...
Sangria is even a great way to start with wine.
Yeah, it's like...
So
Sangria.
like if the churches serve sangria at communion, then more people would
Alcoholics.
like wine.
Oh, yeah.
More people would be religious. Everyone would be religious.
What does he say on
I would be religious.
What do they say on that episode of Family Guy? It's like, this is the blood of Christ. He must have been hammered 24/7.
So you start getting into bourbons, but now you're doing like we were kind of talking about it. It's like, and I was saying, it's like, man, you could like take this, you could do like a professional thing with this because you're taking it pretty seriously, and it's like you're treating it almost like a business. So like what are you calling it? Because we've been going back and forth about a logo, and like talk to me more about like that a little bit.
Okay, so about a month ago, I put on a bourbon tasting for. There were 11 of us there, so I had 6 different bourbons, and I made like a nice steak dinner for everybody, and I made flight boards for everybody.
They were fucking cute as shit. You should almost send me a picture. I might have to like put it into the podcast, but he had a picture of them and I blew me away. And you did them yourself, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I always assume, very sexist of me, but it's like you always assume you see somebody do something cute and pretty and nice, and you're like, girlfriend did it. It was like you just told her to do it or whatever. But no, fucking Benjamin did it. Looks excellent. Fucking awesome.
But yeah, for the flight boards, I got a bunch of clipboards from Dollarama, Dollar Tree, and I had clipboards and Jenga sets, like knockoff Jenga sets.
Yeah.
And I drilled holes in the boards to put the glasses in, and then I used the Jenga blocks as legs.
Mm-hmm.
And then the clipboard so I made like tasting notes for all the different bourbons and put them on the clipboard. So yeah, it worked out really good.
It looks legit as fuck.
And I made a dozen of them for $80. So
yeah, and they look great.
Yeah. So I did this. I called it a bourbon banquet. So yeah, we did a tasting of these 6 bourbons. Everybody did notes on what or added to the notes, I should say.
Yeah.
On what they tasted, and then had the supper, and then I was like in the kitchen all night. I was mixing cocktails, and yeah, I made 7 or 8 different cocktails, and yeah, just everybody got pretty smashed.
But everybody had a good time from what I heard.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody really enjoyed it. Who was I talking to? Oh, sorry, because Justin was there, correct?
Yeah.
Justin, also a good friend of the podcast, good friend of mine, good friend of Benjamin's. Jesus Christ, actually, surprisingly enough. Jesus lives in Saskatchewan, like the reincarnation of the Christ figure from the biblical stories. And that was him. The black screen you just saw, that was the power of Christ through me, through Ben, through Andrew,
The Holy Spirit.
you. Ghost, Holy Trinity. It's the Holy Baptism Fire. You say it because you're good at it.
It's like our... Oh, Jesus. I'm on the spot now, Francois. God has entered me like a body my same size, like me floating into you or you floating into me. It's the whole born again, the Holy Ghost baptism.
The Holy Ghost born again baptism.
Holy Ghost born again baptism experience.
Wait, isn't there a verse though? It's a.
Yeah.
God has entered my body like a body my same size, like me floating into you or you floating into me. It's the Holy Ghost born again baptism experience.
But he says like a Bible verse or something.
I thought there was a little bit more, but no.
The Acts 2:38 Holy Ghost born again
There we
baptism
go.
experience.
So if you want to fuck your brain, like fuck it.
The thing, the YouTube channel is called God has entered my body like a body my same size. That is the name of the YouTube channel.
You have to type that whole thing out
Yes.
to find it.
The individual's name is Bob Hickman.
We have his book.
I bought his book on Amazon. It's
like one giant stream
Illuminating.
of consciousness. Like there's no punctuation.
it's
Oh my
It's
god.
just like he goes in these rants and he does all these videos where he's like naked from the waist down, wearing like a dress shirt and doing like these stretches in this like dingy basement, and he's talking about like
he's very specifically he's doing calisthenics.
Yes, and he's
like
like,
full on dick out.
Like
yeah, oh yeah, like but only when he lunges
1920s
Oh.
lunges, calisthenics
on YouTube.
Like,
Yeah.
dun, dun, dun,
and he mostly talks about how he's the only true Christian and God rapes him all the time. And
God sends fire in my lips and my gums. He sends it. My face has been paralysis. He shoots shooting pains into my genitals and talks about how like
God jacks him off all the time.
God jacks him off all the time.
It's the craziest shit. As crazy as we're making it sound, it's way crazier. Like if you go look at it, it's like and the way I found this too was that we were traveling somewhere to film something. I think it was to Regina or some city. And like in the city we're driving around, and then I remember getting an ad on my phone.
Well, because he was doing the same videos in all different languages too.
And I enjoy. I don't know if I enjoy it, but I find it interesting that it's like whenever there's like an evangelical who puts like ads on YouTube, I'm always like, I'm gonna watch this because I'm interested. Like I just want to see what their fucking rhetoric is. So like I'll just click on something. So I just thought it was one of those. Like it's another evangelical. He's trying to fucking save my soul, whatever. So I click on it. I'm watching. I'm like, oh my god.
Little did Fran know it was an opportunity to play one of my favorite games with clips on the internet, and that game is drugs or mental illness. And this is a case of we don't know, probably both, but
like, and this motherfucker has a van, and he's like written shit all over the side of the van.
Of course he has.
he starts every single
with
video.
white paint and like a raggedy paintbrush. He's crudely written. It's terrifying.
He is a truck driver from Indianapolis, Indiana, and he's more than welcome to come see you if you pay for his flight.
Yeah. He says that in some of the videos. It's like, if you pay my
what's a flight from
So get
Indiana?
me to you. The one video is
Saskatoon.
He's like, so get me to you or you to me, and I'll give you the Holy Ghost. He starts every single one of his videos. God has entered my body like a body my same size, like me floating into you or you floating into me. Well, that he says that as if it's like, oh, now that I've said this, you understand it.
Yeah.
Okay, this makes sense. I'm on board.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's his opening. That's how he
God
gets
has entered
you
my
in.
body like a body my same size.
Yeah,
like me floating
Expedia
into
has
you.
flights from Indiana to Saskatoon starting at $341.
We should get him on the podcast sometime. That would be incredible.
So anyone watching this podcast, please send money to fly this man to
The
Saskatoon.
Bob Hickman Fly Saskatoon Fund.
We've got a Delta Friday, January 14th flight, one way, no layovers, $341.
Can we pay the extra for a return flight?
Yes. Or we kill him and bury him because somebody needs to put him down. I don't know, man. But he if we can ever afford like security and some guy, or maybe we just hire the fucking guy who played the cop in our last music video because he looks like a fucking hard motherfucker. Sweetest guy ever, actually. I don't know if he'd want to hurt anybody. But get some big fucking tough boys. Get Kit here. I don't know, some other big guys. And then let's bring Bob Hickman on because it's like as thin as he is and as wispy as he is and as much as the gum disease he has and that God keeps jacking him off, I still feel like he probably has a knife in his ass and he'd stab us and kill us. And I don't know. And then if we don't die of the stab, we'll die of the dysentery from the ass on the knife. I'm trying to remember how I segued into Bob Hickman because I wanted it to be like a really quick thing, but it's like you gotta explain.
It's
Bob
never
Hickman.
quick with
You
Hickman.
can't not. He's fascinating.
I love that. Like as a fan of Your Mom's House, much to these guys' chagrin, I love weird, fucking crazy people on the internet. It's one of my favorite subjects. So
Everything's a drum. Everything's a drum.
I don't know that one.
That's Ben.
That's me.
That's what he does. That's his
Just
thing.
Ben.
Everything's a drum, if you think about it.
So we're talking about the bourbon. Fuck, God damn it, I had a fucking segue. Now I fucking wish I knew what it was. Why did I talk about Bob Hickman? God damn it. I guess like one thing I'd like to end on, I think I had like or we don't even necessarily need to end on it, but it's like felt like I had a decent segue, but now I just got to bring it up abruptly. You and I share some interesting interests, some fandoms that are like maybe a little bit unique. And I've actually like one thing I like about Benjamin is I seem to discover more about him all the time. And it's like I've always known that Ben and I like kind of nerdier stuff. Like it actually confused me because you're from Leader, where I guess I don't know that many people from Leader, but it always seemed a little bit kind of like Fox Valley-ish, where it's like it's a little more we're cool guys and we play sports and get laid and we don't
Less about anime.
We
and
do
Lord of
do
the Rings.
less about anime. I don't like watching Rurouni Kenshin and Orun High School Host Club.
Don't even talk
But
about
that is the
garbage.
German in Leader, and I am very not German.
I'm
I'm an outsider.
I see.
I'm first generation Leader.
Yes, I guess that I'm first generation Leader. So guess like maybe that's why we grew. Maybe saw some. It's like with Thomas and Cabry. It's like him and I got pretty close because him and I had similar interests that nobody else had. It's like, is that part of the reason that you and I started hanging out more?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so Ben and I like comic books and nerdy shit and can talk about that stuff, which was always really nice. But recently, one thing that I love, like fucking love it, and I haven't met a lot of people who have as in-depth knowledge as me of it, is so Transformers was a show in the 80s, right? Good show, used to sell toys. Like it, movie's great. The original Transformers movie, excellent film. But they did a Canadian animation studio in the early millennium did a sequel series that I think is, well, it's not even debatable. It's way
Beast
better.
Wars?
Beast Wars.
Beast Wars.
Beast Wars. And actually Beasties in Canada because we couldn't. It's the other way around. It was Beasties in the United States.
Beast Wars here, motherfucker.
Yeah, Beast Wars. 100%. I remember that shit.
Sure.
Ah,
It was,
I can just, whenever you say the name Beast Wars, I just hear the first note of the intro.
yeah.
the intros are identical, but because I can't imagine they would call it Beasties in the United States. Like I might be flipped around.
You
but
might be.
But in one of the
I think you might
one
be.
of the but one of the countries, like you know what I'm talking about. Like they had to call it
Beast Wars: Transformers, titled quote Beasties, Transformers in Canada.
it was Beasties in Canada.
I don't know. The title screen on the shows I watch was always Beast Wars.
Wars, yeah.
And everything I bought was Beast Wars.
So, but the
Maybe
reason they had to
French
call it
Canadian.
Beasties was like, I guess at the time, we couldn't, like, Wars was too violent of a term, so then they had to rename it something. But I do remember having the VHS tapes that I bought in Canada when I was a kid, and, like, when I was a kid, I'd call it Beasties, because, like, that's what it said on the fucking tape or whatever. But in the show, they always said, this is the Beast Wars, like, the
Yeah,
Beast Wars
yeah.
have begun. But it was just
Beasties.
This is Beasties. We don't fight. We're friends.
We don't fight, eh?
And it's so weird too because it's a Canadian produced television show.
Yeah,
like it was
they're-
animated here, and they couldn't give it the title here.
We don't fight, eh? We just get in a scrap every now and then.
But that's one of those things.
No
to
war
finish
here,
off,
eh?
I think it's a much better series than the original Transformers series. Like it's way more well written. It's got good character arcs and fucking like super interesting episodes, like multi-parters. And they did a sequel series called Beast Machines that was also quite excellent, different, but like also really good. If you've ever seen Reboot, that's another one.
I was gonna say
that
was another one from that time.
Same
that I
animation.
loved.
same animation
Was
company
Reboot,
that did it, yeah. And they also did Shadow Raiders, which is a really obscure one. But if you see pictures of it, if you know what Beast Wars and Reboot is, you probably have Shadow Raiders like in the back of your brain, like you have these little synapses that haven't
sure.
fired in 20 years. And if you see the images, you're like, I fucking remember those things. But that was another one. So Tell me, but what's cool is when I was a kid, I had a lot of Beast Wars toys and I had a lot of Transformers and I loved them. And as I get older, one thing like a dream of mine is to have a box where I basically have one example of the toys I had when I was a kid, just for like nostalgia purposes. Like I want like a Beyblade and a Bionicle and just like any of the toys that I used to play with as a kid, just to have. And like, so 40 years from now, I can be like, look at the toys I have, kid. And he'll be in his goggles and... I won't be able to speak to him because he won't have a mouth anymore.
I have a box
just...
full of grain shovels.
Brian's got grain shovels.
Yeah, he's got a couple of nubs now because he worked them to the bone.
Mm-hmm. And then
shovels, that is, down to nothing.
Shovels. But Ben's got a fucking sick ass collection. Like you actually put this into practice, and like I haven't been able to really buy anything. I tried buying a Bionicle on eBay and it never came, and now I'm really gun shy about eBay. But talk to me a little bit, just so I can indulge my fandom a little bit. Talk to me about Beast Wars, why you like it so much, and like why you decided to collect Beast Wars toys, which I think is the coolest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, Beast Wars was like... So when I was a kid, I had Beast Wars, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, and Bionicle. Those were my jams. And that's Light and Francois because he's the same. But yeah, Beast Wars, it's pretty much as soon as it came on, I was watching it, and I like distinctly remember like my 6th birthday, like I remember the Beast War I got on my 6th birthday. Like every Beast War that I received, I remember like...
You keep calling them Beast Wars, and that's not what they're called.
They're called Beast Wars.
No, they don't. You don't call the figures Beast Wars.
What do you call it?
A Transformer, a Maximal, a Predacon.
No, it's
I don't know.
Beast War.
You are a Beast War.
You
It's
are
like
a Beast War.
It's like you talk to a soldier in fucking at Vimy Ridge.
You
and
are
you're
a
like,
World War II.
Yeah. You are. It's like you are the event you're involved in. You go to fucking a Nam vet. You are a Vietnam War. Like what?
Fuck you. Okay, so I got these transforming action figures.
You know what they're called? Maximals, Predacons. Good guys are the Maximals. Predacons are the bad guys. It's dope.
And no, I kind of regret this part of my childhood because I was like against having Predacons. I was like, they're bad.
Yeah.
I don't want the bad guys. I want the good guys. But then when I'm playing with them, it's like, well, what are they doing? Are they just having coffee? Or
Optimus Primal has sex with Rat Trap again.
It's funny talking about toys. Like I have a 6-year-old son, and one of the cool things is buying gifts for Christmas and whatever. So you get to kind of shape his interests a little bit that way. And I don't know if you've heard of or seen any of the latest, like the Mario Lego they have out now.
Yeah,
it's like the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen.
It is pretty cool.
And last Christmas it was just like overboard. Not sure if these were for him or for me, but like he got like every single like Bowser's cat, like the big Bowser's castle, and like everything. And yeah, I'm excited for this year because I just bought him they came out with the Luigi set.
Yeah,
I bought him the Luigi set. He also has like Mario.
Is he going to be watching this podcast? Because you might have just spoiled.
Not for. I hope not.
He's
for
quite
you.
young.
6. He's 6. He does love his YouTube.
Drew's just sitting at a computer. He's like, come on. He's waiting for the next episode to come out. Come on. He might spoil my Christmas presents. Come on. Fuck, that's cool. I didn't even think about that. Like it was sick being a kid and like waiting, like theorizing what your parents would get you for fucking Christmas.
What Santa was gonna get you?
Yeah.
It was ironic. Drew was like, yeah, he goes to a Catholic school, and he's like, yeah, some of the kids in my class were telling me how Santa's not real. And I'm like, bunch of Catholics telling you Santa isn't real. Irony.
Yeah. So you know it's not real, buddy.
More so to me, it's like, you know what's not real? Transubstantiation, motherfucker. Like,
you should have had a Matrix moment with him and been like, you know what's not real, buddy? Me. And everyone around you.
No, it's funny. They've
How do you know I'm real?
I'm getting out of that school. I'm getting out of that school. I'm out of that school now because he said, we had a conversation. He said, Dad, it hurts my feelings that you don't believe in God. It hurts my feelings that you don't believe in God. And I'm like, wow, the indoctrination is real. We need to get you out of there. Yeah.
Drew, you need to attend Uncle Fran's 3-week deconversion boot camp,
Uncle Frank.
where I'll make you not believe in God anymore. I'll make you sure that there can't be a God.
Make sure you schedule it around that guy's flights. So
Yeah, I'll bring Bob Hickman, and then you tell me how good God looks after you have a 3-week, 4-hour
I
a
just
day
pictured
class
Drew.
session with Bob Hickman.
Uncle Frank, that man was scary.
it's not scared
And
straight
that's-
anymore. It's
He's the only real Christian, buddy. He's the only one. So yeah, I don't know. What time are we at, producer? Hour? Great.
We're at an
Fantastic.
hour already?
Yeah. Actually, fuck it. Before I end, because it's like I feel like I was just grilling you with questions and shit. Is there anything you wanted to talk about coming on the podcast? Any ideas? Is there anything you expected to talk about that we didn't talk about?
Either of you two. I feel like everything was kind of directed to me.
We always talk about it. That's the thing. It's like 6 of them are with just the 3 of us. So we get a lot of fucking screen time. And then it's like, we've been doing a great job this year. We have 6, hopefully, we'll definitely have 6 guests and 6 with just the 3 of us or whatever.
Yeah, we have this is our 5th guest.
Yeah. And I have to say Beast Wars a bunch of times, which I don't think I've been able to do on an episode. So that was fucking sweet.
Okay, well, I have 2 last things to say.
Okay.
I do have a very impressive Beast War collection.
That's fact.
If anyone is interested in seeing that.
That's a fact.
And since getting out of stand-up comedy and improv, I've started writing more.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks to my friend Francois, he kind of pushed me to focus on smaller pictures before the big picture. So I started writing short stories.
Oh!
And yeah, like since we last talked, what was it? Not even a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I've written like 8 short stories.
Fuck yeah! That's awesome to hear about.
And yeah, so
Fuck yeah!
keep an eye out.
I mostly, people are like, hey, can you give me advice on this big, I'm trying to make it, and I'm like, man, it's like, have you considered, it's like, Kurt Cobain did this thing, 1994, where it's like, he also came to a crossroads in his life, and he was like, man, what do I do here? And he had this crazy solution where it fucking, instant, done, one and done, gone. And it's like, that's usually the advice I give, but it's like, I'm glad that this time it wasn't that.
I mean, that situation didn't necessarily have the best ending. So you're going to want to deviate before.
What do you mean?
Who's Kurt Cobain?
You know what's fucking funny about
Yeah, he's in
this?
that Foo Fighters band, isn't he?
I wish
You
fucking,
would have been.
I wish Kelsey or Amy were here. I shouldn't call Amy out on the podcast. This is bad. But
Cabin
so that
sometimes.
exact question was asked to me legitimately, and I was like, "There's a few things in my life that I've heard that I've been like, this is dumb. This is a dumb thing that I've heard. The dumbest thing I've ever heard, top of the line, was I went on a date and I saw the movie Battlefield LA or Battle LA or whatever. You remember that movie? It's Aaron Eckhart. They're fighting in LA against aliens. And the girl I went on a date with, she asked me, it's like I'm so frustrated with the fact that it's like, it's like they take all those things that they use in the movie and then they just put it in a warehouse. We don't use them. It's like, why don't we use those ships in real life? And I was like, say that question again, because like that, the way I heard it couldn't have been the way you meant it. So say it again. And she said, well, it's just like they build all these cool things, like those spaceships and those crazy guns.
They fly
and like
around for the movie.
And they fly them around for the movie, but then it's like, then we don't use them. It's like, why don't we just use that stuff in real life? Because obviously it works so good.
But they're just props, Francois.
And
It's not a real spaceship.
it's just
my
a prop.
immediate, because my brain then put it together, and then my immediate follow-up was, you've seen Jurassic Park, right? And she was like, yep. And I'm like, what do you think those were? Like, what? When you see that movie, and she's like, well, I haven't really thought about it. It's like, like big, what? Oh, it's like, whatever. And I'm like, you think all this stuff is real stuff. And it was like, she's like, I don't, like, just confused, because it was like she and I were on opposite ends of planet Earth at that point. And then it's like, I had to explain to her that I'm like, this is fake. This is all fake. This is all make-believe. This is CGI. It's computer graphics. It's all done on computers. And I had to explain to her how CGI worked for like an hour drive back to her house. And I remember being like, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is the dumbest thing. To this day, like I said, this is a date like when I was in like grade 10. This is still the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. And I don't think anybody will fucking match that level. And then the other one was I did, I won't do it on set, but it's like I asked a girl, I was talking to a girl and she said something about World War II history where I'm like, you clearly don't know a lot of World War II history and you're saying things that are really weird and don't make sense. So then I did a Nazi salute and I was like, when I do this, what do you associate with this salute? And she's like, communism? I'm like, holy fuck.
Someone in front of me at Subway once asked, how big is your 6-inch sub?
Oh my God.
That's so fucking rough. Like, and what? So if it was
Hey, I
you,
was wondering, how big is your 6-inch sub? The person paused and was like, 6 inches.
yeah, it's like if you got that question, would you be like, roughly this big? Like roughly,
Yeah,
like what do you say? It's like, I'm sorry, madam, if you can't decipher this bit of information from the information, I'm not gonna be able to get you there. Like I don't know, like pull the actual piece of bread out and like this big. I don't know.
18 centimeters.
It's 6 inches. 6 inches is probably approximately
Like
that's-
20,
Yeah, somewhere around there. That's not bad. Yeah, saying centimeters. She's like, oh, got it. Now I
Because
know
we're
what
in
you're saying.
Canada.
That's why it's
It's
just such a confusion. How big is it? It's like,
like,
how you want
Can
me to
you
answer
imagine
this?
if Canadian subways put their
In centimeters.
measurements in centimeters?
Just such large numbers.
It's about a quarter meter sub.
Well, don't they? They're
A third of a meter
Introducing
long
the
sub.
new half meter.
Yeah.
they're that
Half
big.
meter sub, eh?
That big fucking sub they do. What do they call that again? Like
Party
like a
sub?
really-
Party sub.
They don't
But
have.
it
like
doesn't come like that. They cut it up.
You can't get it in just one big piece.
No.
Fuck. That's stupid.
I don't know. You.
They advertise it in one big piece.
Yeah, but
Fuck.
they don't.
They don't
do
actually. They just bake. It's just multiple 12 inches.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
They don't have enough.
Now,
of them
yeah,
big enough.
they used to have like a actual thing, but I know now if you order that big one, they'll just give you a bunch because I think the one wasn't economically feasible because nobody bought it. But like, but I remember they used to advertise it, and then the pictures you saw like the one big fucking sub.
Mhm.
Bullshit. I want a big sub. What was the thing you were asking before?
You get so lost on these tangents.
I do, yeah. I'm so fucking this podcast was tangents for about 100 episodes. Like my brain goes back into that mode. And then it's like our goal when we started was like the only thing is there can't be dead air. Like that's it. Cause it's like the second there's 20 seconds of no talking, we can't do it. So it's like just like try to, like,
You're talking about the
whatever.
writing. Is what you were talking about. You
Yeah.
just finished talking about doing
Yes.
more writing, short stuff.
And then
Yeah, we
advice
should-
and then
We should collaborate on some stuff. It'd be fun to have someone else doing some comedy shit with us.
Yeah, I'd love to.
I'm fucking glad to hear that work though. Like, but I think that's like good advice, like cross media for a lot of stuff. Where it's like with filmmaking, it's like you
Figure out the small scale
yeah,
before you
it's
jump
like
into bigger scale.
you have the desire, like you're like I want to make a movie, and like that's a great ambition, and that's fucking sick. But making a movie is like a really difficult thing that like a lot of little pieces need to be there before you can like tackle that thing.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's better to be like, well, try making some short films first. Like try like making some see if you can put together a 3-minute narrative and see if you can do like a beginning, a middle, and an end and like get the payoff and get that together. And if you can do that, then you're like, fuck yeah, I can do a narrative. And it's like then it gives you that little whatever and like you build. So it's like I'm glad that you said 8 short stories?
Something like that. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. I'm glad I would like to read them, please.
But yeah, and it's so last January, I submitted a short story for like this competition that multinational brewery
Mm-hmm.
was doing in Regina. And I was dumb and I wrote it in a day and submitted it. And then I like looked back on it the other day and I was like, okay, well, I had a good idea,
Mhm.
but this is terrible.
Yeah. So the genesis was there, but it was like the execution wasn't necessarily. Yeah.
So I've like revisited that, and I think it's like I developed this character, and I've implemented this character into multiple stories, and I think I've done a good job of it.
Okay, you know, I like something that another friend of the podcast, Sam, started doing that I really enjoyed was because he's writing short stories, and I think he's been doing it for a while, but I only found out about it recently. But he
They're
started,
good, yeah.
he started posting them on Facebook. He just has whatever page, some blog page, and he'll just put them on there, and then he'll share them on
There's
Facebook.
actually a short story platform.
Oh.
I signed up for it.
Yeah,
There's like contests on it a bunch, and
Okay.
it's a place where you can you create a profile and you can host all your short stories.
Interesting.
I'll get the
So-
name for it and I'll
Yeah.
send it your way because
so yeah, that might be really cool, and that like an easy way to get like lots of eyes on it, or like
yeah.
I don't know, just like friends' eyes, or people who are interested, and then you can like get a gauge of who like actually cares or whatever. But it's like I would love to read your shit. I don't know, regardless of that. But it's like
Yeah.
that might be a cool way to just like publish it before it's published or whatever.
And I think we have definitely have an ambition for doing more short form content in the new year, and it'd be really nice to have someone to collaborate with on a thing or two, and just like we get in such a creative bubble that I think like it's nice to have some outside perspectives just to kind of like give us a little bit of fresh air in our
Oh, definitely.
stale
Even him and Justin talking about before.
that
They were-
mini golf thing.
Yeah, they were playing this cool comedy film, and it was just fucking fun hanging out with you, Justin. And it's like you guys would fucking shoot your ideas, and it's like I'd whatever give my take, and I don't know, it was just fun. It was like
Yeah.
I think the more people to collaborate with, the better. Like it's just like it's
100%.
always fucking fun to just hear different people's ideas and what people are and ambitions. Like it's like with you guys, it's like that was your project, but it was just fun to like get to hear you guys talk about it, and then me just like being like, well, if it was me, this is what I would do, or this is what I would do, or whatever. You know what I mean?
It would be
so,
nice
yeah.
from a production standpoint to have more of a focus on just the production side and less on the like creative side, and have
Yeah,
some
like-
experience with like being a collaborator, but more focused on the how do we capture this, how do we edit it versus
Yeah.
what the story is.
Right.
It might be a good exercise for us to kind of like
Mm-hmm.
move more towards that a couple times.
Yeah, I'm
So
definitely game to
that'd be cool.
help.
What's your name again?
What's my name?
Yeah.
Ben.
Ben Sinclair, everybody.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
for watching this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much, Ben, for coming on. Let's have a little. Oh, you guys don't have any fucking drink left. Cheers to me, and goodbye.
Cheers
Good
to
night.
Fran.